Hello, everyone, and welcome back. If you thought Salem had already reached its breaking point, the week of March 23rd through March 27th may prove that the real chaos is only beginning. Because this next stretch of days of our lives is not just about surprise twists. It is about quiet danger, emotional pressure, and secrets that may be far more destructive than they first appear. And that is what makes these spoilers feel so strong. Not because everything is loud and explosive right away, but because so many of these storylines are sitting on emotional fault lines. The danger is already there. The question is who will realize it first, and who will be too late. So let's break it all down. One of the most quietly dangerous storylines this week revolves around Holly, Tate, Rachel, and that suspicious bottle of skincare vitamins. At first glance, Rachel asking Tate to pass along a gift for Holly may seem harmless. It may even feel sweet. Rachel knows exactly what Holly likes, so the gesture could easily come across as thoughtful and innocent. But that is precisely what makes the scene so unsettling. In Salem, the moments that look safest are often the ones hiding the biggest risk. And Holly may be more vulnerable than she realizes. Sarah has already raised an important warning by suggesting Holly stop taking the supplement for a while to see whether it might be contributing to her recent mood swings. That is not a random guess. It is a practical attempt to identify a pattern. But Holly's refusal makes perfect sense from an emotional standpoint. She has taken these vitamins for years, so in her mind, they belong to the category of things she does not need to question. They are familiar, predictable, normal. When someone feels like their life is slipping out of control, they often cling even harder to routines that make them feel stable. Holly may not be dismissing Sarah's concern because she is naive. She may be dismissing it because she needs something in her life to still feel reliable. And with everything else already weighing on her, the idea of giving up a long-trusted habit may feel impossible. But if Sophia really tampered with that bottle, then Holly's instability may not be emotional bad luck at all. It may be deliberate manipulation. That changes the storyline completely. Suddenly, this is not just about a teenager behaving erratically. It becomes a calculated effort to push Holly off balance while making her doubt herself every step of the way. And the moment Tate or anyone else realizes Rachel is still connected to Sophia, the entire situation could explode. Because once those dots connect, Holly may finally see that the danger was never around her. It was already in her hands. While Holly may be spiraling without understanding why, Sophia could also be causing damage in another corner of Salem by pressuring Melinda Trask ahead of Trey Demara's adoption finalization. And this storyline feels especially dangerous because it targets something deeply fragile: hope. Johnny and Chanel may be approaching what should be one of the happiest moments in their lives, but in a soap, joy is often most vulnerable right before it becomes real. That is what makes Sophia's possible blackmail so effective. If she is leaning on Melinda at the last second, then she is not just creating legal complications. She is threatening to turn a moment of emotional relief into sudden devastation. Melinda is also the perfect person to carry that chaos. She knows how to weaponize pressure, protect herself, and make messy situations even worse. So if Sophia has found a way to corner her, Johnny and Chanel may end up paying the price for a scheme they never saw coming. That would make the fallout even more brutal, because it would hit them at the exact moment they were expecting stability. Adoption stories are never only about documents and court approvals. They are about trust, fear, and the terrifying possibility that something precious can be ripped away just as it starts to feel secure. If Melinda disrupts the finalization because Sophia forces her hand, Johnny and Chanel may be left dealing with more than disappointment. They may be left questioning whether happiness in Salem is ever allowed to last. What makes Sophia especially intriguing here is that she may be influencing multiple storylines at once. If she is truly behind Holly's vitamin sabotage and now also applying pressure in the adoption story, then she stops being just a troublemaker and starts looking like a genuine destabilizing force. And that could make her one of the week's most dangerous players. Another emotionally loaded storyline this week is Rachel's hearing in the judge's chambers, and this may end up being one of the most important character moments of all. On paper, it sounds simple enough. EJ gives his victim's statement, the court weighs the situation, and Rachel waits to hear what happens next. But emotionally, this is much bigger than a legal step. For Rachel, this hearing may represent the terrifying possibility that her future is once again being decided by adults in a room where she has very little real control. That fear matters. Rachel is not just worried about consequences. She is worried about being sent back into a system that already made her feel powerless and isolated. Even if she tries to stay composed, the emotional reality underneath may be panic, shame, confusion, and the sinking feeling that one decision behind closed doors could redefine her life all over again. Then there is EJ's role in all of it. He will likely do everything he can to help Rachel, and there may be genuine care in that effort. He may want to comfort her, protect her, and guide the outcome toward mercy. But because this is EJ, his motives are never likely to be purely simple. Support, in his world, often comes mixed with guilt, control, and a strong desire to shape the narrative. Is EJ stepping up because Rachel needs him? Absolutely, but is part of him also trying to manage the fallout, ease his own conscience, or influence how this entire situation is viewed? That is where the emotional complexity comes in. And on days of our lives, those mixed motives are often what make the quietest scenes feel the most powerful. Because this hearing may not just determine what happens to Rachel next. It may expose who is truly acting out of love, and who is also trying to protect themselves. Following Sean Brady's injury, JJ may be heading into one of the most emotionally defining turning points of the week. Because this story is not only about a dangerous moment on the job. It is about what happens after the gunfire stops, when JJ is left alone with the realization that his hesitation may have changed everything. In a crisis, even a split second matters. And if JJ believes that split second is what put Sean in the line of fire, then the real damage may not be physical at all. It may be psychological. JJ is not the kind of character who can easily shrug off guilt and move on. He tends to internalize pain, replay mistakes, and carry emotional blame longer than most. So this may quickly become bigger than one bad moment in the field. It may force him to ask a much more painful question. What if he is no longer the person this job requires him to be? If JJ cannot trust his instincts under pressure, then how does he keep wearing the badge with confidence? How does he tell himself he can protect someone next time if, in his mind, he failed when it mattered most? This is why the storyline feels so grounded. The real conflict is not action-based anymore. It is internal. It is about self-belief collapsing from the inside. At the same time, Sean's recovery may start pulling him towards something very different: healing, comfort, and perhaps a deeper emotional bond with Jada. That contrast could make the story even stronger. While JJ may be sinking into self-doubt, Sean may be slowly moving toward connection and clarity. And that kind of parallel is where soap storytelling becomes especially effective. Because the same moment that leaves one man broken may become the moment that quietly redirects another man's future. Gabby and Philip may share one of the week's warmest emotional moments, but it may also be one of the most dangerous. Gabby is expected to keep Philip in the dark about her role in the merger blow-up, and instead confess her love. Philip will reportedly confess his love as well, which on the surface sounds like a major romantic payoff. Two people finally being honest about their feelings. Two people choosing vulnerability at the same time. In another story, that might be the beginning of something solid. But on a soap, timing is everything. And this timing is risky. Because Gabby may be emotionally honest about love while still being dishonest about the truth surrounding the merger. That contradiction is exactly what makes the moment feel so unstable. Her feelings may be completely genuine. Philip's feelings may be too. But when a relationship deepens in the middle of concealment, that tenderness often becomes the very thing that makes the fallout hurt more later. The audience is being invited to feel the chemistry, the softness, and the sincerity, while also recognizing that the relationship is already resting on incomplete truth. And the more heartfelt this confession becomes, the more devastating the eventual reckoning may be. Philip may not only feel betrayed by what Gabby hid, he may feel betrayed by the timing of her honesty in one area and her silence in another. Because the scene may look like the start of trust, when in reality it may already contain the first crack that could tear everything apart. Finally, there is the storyline that may carry the biggest long-term impact of all. The DOOL lab investigation and Lexi getting closer to opening her eyes. Lexi has already been moved to a secure location, and that detail alone says a lot. It means she is not just a patient recovering in the background. She is a person who may hold information important enough to protect, and dangerous enough to make certain people nervous. The closer she gets to waking up, the more pressure starts building around everyone connected to that secret. Because once a character is on the verge of regaining consciousness, the story immediately shifts from secrecy to countdown. Who knows what Lexi remembers? Who is afraid of what she might reveal? And who may start making desperate moves now that silence is no longer guaranteed? That is what makes this more than just a recovery story. It is a threat hanging over Salem. Right now, the police and FBI are still investigating, still searching, still trying to understand what really happened in the DOOL lab. But Lexi may be the difference between suspicion and proof. Once she is fully awake, the truth may no longer come in fragments. It may come all at once, and that is when the people who benefited from secrecy may begin to panic. If Lexi becomes the one who finally exposes what was going on, this story could explode far beyond one reveal. It could trigger fallout across multiple relationships, investigations, and power structures all at once. And that is why her awakening feels so dangerous. Not because something might happen, but because once Lexi opens her eyes, someone else's world may start falling apart. So overall, the week of March 23rd through March 27th looks like one of those classic days of our lives weeks where the emotional tension may be just as powerful as the actual twists. Holly may be drifting deeper into danger without even realizing it. Sophia may be tightening her grip on more than one storyline. Rachel may be facing a life-changing decision. JJ may be forced to rethink his future. Gabby and Philip may be building romance on unstable ground. And Lexi may be the key to a truth that can no longer stay buried. And honestly, that is what makes this week feel so compelling. Not just because something big is coming, but because every storyline feels like it is standing on the edge of something worse. So what do you think is going to explode first? Will Holly finally realize she is being manipulated? Will Rachel avoid the worst outcome at her hearing? Is JJ really about to leave the force? And when Lexi wakes up, whose entire world is about to fall apart? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next Days of Our Lives spoiler breakdown. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.